Back from New Zealand to the US, Santa Monica, California, it's been like 3 4 nights already. New life. I feel like a kitten. In this house, my partner, ex-partner, mother, we lived 7 8 years and we split up when the COVID hit 2.5 years ago. And having spent time in New Zealand alone, quite a unique experience. I enjoyed it. Now I'm back to the US. No big issues at the airport, immigration. So I'm settling in like a little kitten, figuring out what's the protocol, how to live. Looking around, not moving much to digest what's going on. The house and everything is familiar, except I don't remember where the dishes are and all the utensils and the way. But having spent 3 nights, so more settled, and then I may have a view of what's going on. One of the thoughts that popped up was this kitties learning how to live in the environment carefully, but want to be independent and figuring out how to live. It's very much the same in the human case, and I lived my life, but my case was from Japan to be out and explore and kept on going for many years. And I feel my journey is continuing. And a thought I have now is that let me start with this one. Zen temple life is very interesting in the sense that there are certain protocols to do, like a sitting, meditation, eating together, do samu, resting a little bit, and then samu is the work, the garden or doing things to live, and then more meditation, or sometimes you may have sermon by the Zen monk, and on and on. So it's regimented, but with freedom for your own to be liberated, the way to live your life. You figure out. And nobody's teaching much except Buddha's way, but it's more of a hint. And for you to figure out how to live is the way of Zen. At least that's the way I can summarize. And the idea there is there's a notion of liberation, of how you can be true, sincere to yourself, but at the same time living in the society, how to relate with others, and there are certain protocols. Some may want to live alone, others may want to live more with the community, having some relationship, but always trying to find the alignment. And it's up to each individual, each community, and the monk may move around, travel, and figure out the way to live. So one thought that came up is my life is kind of like that. And I had the relationship with different women, for example, getting married and divorced and kid, and married, divorced and kid, and alone, or had the partner. But it's like moving from one country to the other. I think it was Henry Miller talking about visiting women or having a relationship. Of course, some may have a longer, much longer relationship. Some may be shorter. My case has been different with Japanese and then American. And being alone too. So how we may live, whatever the given situation, to be liberated and truthful and sincere to yourself, at least other people may not see it that way. At least on my own, subjectively, that's what I try to do, so that you don't, or I don't, disturb the situation of the relationship, community, whatever, but have some view of liberated life, be the master and be well connected or connected to the society. So the idea of the mini company, or that I came up, actually fit quite well, because I want each one to be the president of an area of his responsibility or her responsibility within the organization, the company. But you can expand the notion to not just the company, but the society and the relationship and everything else, so that you have your own mastery of how to live, but being able to connect with others. There's a issue of someone telling what you should do, because they are the boss, or they're the government regulatory people, and you may have to follow that, because that's the social construct. Yet, if you want to leave, I want people to be liberated, to be able to make choices, not to be confined too much. And that has been the way of my exploration of my life, to explore, know the world, how I may fit, and connect to my sincere desire of how I want to live, and be liberated and be the master of my own destiny, but connecting with others, because that's the whole setting. So the Zen life is preparing, but in a controlled setting, and after a certain period of training and so forth, they may live alone or with others in the society. So whether you call it the Zen life, or the people working at the company and moving on different companies, pretty much the same. Some Zen monk may move from the Rinzai Zen to Soto Zen, or different sect and different teacher or the master that they go through. So if you look at the relationship, I mentioned about the Zen organization, mini company idea, but also relating to self-mastery. And in relationship with women, may have the same notion of it, different relationships. So the whole scheme remained the same. So internally, that was the external change of this environment, of the community and so forth. But internally, you are your own. You have what I call the mini-me. As much as in the organization, there are mini company, and for each mini company president to be the master, within myself, there are many me's. One may be interested in creative writing, or surfing, or swimming, or diving, or relationship, or some money-oriented issues, the living style, health issues, all of that, and the work relationship. So how to navigate in that setting that we fall into? And my case, just found that because of the COVID and my green card situation, I had to come back and renew. So I did come back, and seemed like I may be able to renew without much trouble. So that's very good. Instead of paying the penalty for the exit tax and all the regulatory issues that can come if I didn't do this right. But it seemed like everything is flowing. So flow is the good word, actually, because the situation changes, regulatory or relationship, and your relationship with women, from men's case, or whatever the case these days are. Everything is impermanent, and you want to find the destiny. Actually, maybe I just say one thing about the destiny and how to live. That was about the Osho, kind of infamous man, talking about Zen, because Osho is the name in Japanese about Zen monk or Zen master. So Osho had a video, and I thought maybe I'll insert some of the comments he made in there so that you get the flavor of it. But living in the now, his view, and actually one of the discussion he had was about the hand-picked husband. And I don't mean to be very negative about the relationship, but in there he was talking about the man subscribe woman's order or the relationship setting and then figuring out how to live, and may be losing his own because of the view that they developed about the relationship, and women has their way of how to live. So there's some interesting conversation that I remember. Well, again, the point is that the situation may change and you find the passage. And hopefully there's certain harmonious alignment, relationship that we can create. And if it doesn't fit, well, it's our insight and wisdom or compassion to seek through or find the way to live happily, liberated, but also connected to the society, at least nearby, or you connect to the people around. So there's a sense of energy flowing and be liberated. I call it waku waku, sense of being. And the point of Osho, which I resonate well, is that people look for things, seek for things. That's very common, related to what happened yesterday or whatever, and then the thought pops up and get tangled up. Why did it happen? What can be done? And the thought pops up into the future. What's tomorrow? And how do I find a destiny? I use the term in a loose way. So what do you prepare for future? And the mind goes through back and forth into the future or reflection from the past. But his main point has been living in the now. Because, as he says, that's the only point that you can be the master. Otherwise, the mind may catch you to think of the future or the past, and if you keep doing it, you lose the ground of being. And you may not smell the roses, hear things clearly, and be liberated because everything is already there and have the connection to the source. I have posted the way I explained the similar notion here was being the state of us in the Garden of Eden, where everything manifests as God's way or nature's way, and you are being a part of it. And there's a liberation life that we can identify. And lost paradise, in a way, that you're kicked out with the knowledge, good and bad and all that, and then start to seek up the good and bad and future and the past and get caught up in the mind. His basic message is go back to where the root of who you are. And that awakening, if you call it, is nothing other people can do for you, so each is to find. You can call it the Zen way of life or whatever the term. Last piece, if I may add, I was at the Costco. I love to go visit because of the flow of the materials and the ideas, creative thought, and how things organized. It's very interesting as an organization to function well without much waste. I met the guy. I even bought a new iPhone because he was very sort of liberated in the way he appeared, and I enjoyed the conversation. So after buying the product, I asked why you look like a happy guy, and he said he is. So he said, well, I asked about the future and what, but the bottom of this conversation was that when I asked, his future may not be unclear, but what he enjoys is going sort of with the flow and to maintain the openness and be able to share with a group of people as to how they are living life. I think that's a very unique way. Instead of containing yourself inside, but you're also having a relationship with others and being able to bounce around the ideas and have that state of conversation or whatever you call it, the relationship, would have him to be aware as well as connecting with others so that there's a certain way that they find to keep him moving with having the good spirit. These days we get kind of confined in whatever the position we may be and get lost to the balance. And I think this group conversation to have every now and then is very important so that you don't get locked in your own thought in the mind. So I like that. I hope this conversation or the talk I do may have some element of it, although I may not know the person who are listening, but there may be a way that we can identify, maybe a little word here and there, the thought, and then have the moment to express and share. And if we have such a platform, if we can develop it, I think that may help us to navigate by having a multiple point so that we can synthesize ideas and find the passage moving forward. Environment change, you have to go with whatever the given situation and then you change. So this is a process continuously happen as much as a new kitten born would find how to navigate his or her life from there cautiously but exploringly and find the way moving forward. Thank you.